Hi, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Books and Beaches. So it is time to talk about all of the new books coming out in July. And boy, are there a lot of them. Now, I have already seen a couple people do their July new releases videos. So I knew July was going to be quite the month, but then I started doing my own research and was still shocked. So grab a drink, grab a snack, because this is going to be quite the long video. Now, I'm going to do what I did last month and kind of break up each segment into its own little clip. So this won't be like one long stream of consciousness. I just found that worked the best last month, just for my editing purposes and for my speaking purposes. Because like I said, I am still getting my voice back from being sick, so it's just going to work best for me, and it's just a lot easier at filming. And like any of my other new release videos, I've got my computer here in front of me because there is no way with all of these new releases that I could ever remember what all of these books were about. So just stick with me because, like I said, there are going to be some great books in this video, but there are a lot of them. So as always, this is by no means an extensive list. There are well more than this book, this like list of books, because I actually had to cut myself off. I started to find more and I was like, no, just too many, especially because July actually has 5 release dates in it, plus more with all of like the indie release dates that there could be. So I just stuck with the main 5 release dates and diversified my list from there. So let's go ahead and jump in. Our very first release date is July 2nd. And like I said, there are quite a few books coming out on each of these dates. So the very first book that I found is Breaking the Dark, and this is by Lisa Jewell. Now, I believe this is a little bit different from what Lisa Jewell normally does, because I believe this one is going to be based on like a Marvel crime series. So it says going to be a Marvel crime series of thriller books for adults with an original story starring the private detective Jessica Jones. So because our list is so long today, I'm not going to go in as much depth as I probably normally do. And yes, I know I say that and then I tend to, go into more depth, but I am really going to try today to keep these short and sweet. So can't say that this is necessarily going to be a Lisa Jewell that I pick up because I'm not necessarily like a big Marvel fan, but this one's out there for you. All right, after that, we have God of the Woods, and this is by Liz Moore. Now, I don't believe I have read anything by Liz Moore, but I believe she is a popular author. And once again, I apologize because that cough is still lingering. But this says, when a teenager vanishes from her Adirondack summer camp, oh, and y'all know I love a good summer camp trope, 2 worlds collide. And so it looks like we're going to have an August 1975 timeline, excuse me, with a camp counselor discovering that there's an empty bunk and a girl has gone missing. And it says, as the search begins, a thrilling drama unfolds. And there's going to be a lot of layered secrets in this blue-collar community. So, yeah, it says family secrets and second chances. So we have that one. Sounds actually really good. All right. And once again, I will probably repeat that statement a lot throughout this video. Up next, we have Same Bright Stars by Ethan Joella. I have never heard of this author before, but it came up on a lot of the lists that I was finding. And this says it's going to be an uplifting and emotionally resonant novel set in a Delaware beach town. And, set in a beach town, you're ringing my bell there, about a local restaurant owner at a turning point. So looks kind of like it's going to be like a multi-generational family restaurant, a lot of new friendships, and it says, but will he really let go of the very things that had defied him? So, probably a lot of things that he's struggling with. So, like I said, short and sweet, but the descriptions of all of these books will always be linked below for you. So if you want to check out more of them, they're always there. Next up is a YA author that I kind of always keep my eye on. I've read a few things by her, but I like to keep an eye on her new releases. And this is 49 Miles Alone by Natalie D. Richards. And it says it's going to be a tense new thriller. It says 4 days alone in the desert, except they're not as alone as they think. So I don't want to know too much more. Like I've said before, I don't like to know a lot going into my thrillers. And today we're keeping it short and sweet. So there's that one. After that, this one I believe is like fantasy, romantasy, maybe. I know that's kind of a new thing. And I believe it's part of a trilogy. It says, this is going to be Reckless by Lauren Roberts. It says it is part of the Powerless trilogy. I believe this is book 2. So I don't want to read too much into it. If you have read book 1, I believe it is YA. It says it's the sizzling and epic romantic fantasy trilogy that's packed with spicy tension and edge of your seat betrayal. So, I'm trying to, let me see here if I can, the first book in the series was called Powerless. So if you're interested in that. After that, I have read one book by this author. This is The Haters by Robin Harding. I just read a book by her earlier this year, I believe. Oh yeah, I read The Drowning Woman. That's right. And this says it's going to be a twisted tale of fame, obsession, and the dark recesses of social media, which I'm sure a lot of us can relate to. And it looks like a woman is going to try to figure out how, or like what's going on with the online harassment that she is getting and like who's behind it. And it says she has to try to unmask the enemy who is so intent on destroying her and learn why she's being targeted. So I really liked The Drowning Woman, so I'm willing to pick up something else by Robin Harding. And then last but certainly not least, coming out on July 2nd, and like I said, by no means an extensive list, is The Summer of Yes, and this is by Courtney Walsh. And the cover definitely got me on this one. It says, sometimes you're so busy writing other people's stories that you lose the plot of your own. And let's see, I think it's going to be a story of like two people coming together, you know, to kind of, you know, like look at their own lives. And it says, maybe it's time to confront a few things. They must ask themselves, what if I said yes to everything I've wanted to say no to? So I like that, you know, kind of concept. And so they've basically decided to begin this summer of yes. So I wanted to add that one to the list. All right. So those are the books that I have, you know, come up with that are coming out on July 2nd. All right. So our next release date in July is July 9th. And this date has quite a few books that I found coming out. The first of which is The Briar Club by Kate Quinn. And now Kate Quinn is quite the popular historical fiction author. And this one says it's going to be a thrilling and powerful story of female friendships and secrets. And it says it's going to be haunting. Let's see, set in Washington, D.C., in a boarding house during the McCarthy era. So around 1950, I believe. Yeah, it's at the Briarwood House, an all-female boarding house in the heart of the nation's capital, where secrets hide behind white picket fences. So let's see here. It says, capturing the paranoia of the McCarthy era and evoking the changing roles for women in post-war America, The Briar Club is an intimate and thrilling novel of secrets and loyalty put to the test. So I have liked what I've read by Kate Quinn before, so had to add that one to the list. All right, next up is an author that I really enjoy reading, and it always gives me a nice break from a lot of the thrillers that I read, and this is The Summer Pack by Emily Giffin. I believe I've read almost everything that Emily Giffin has put out, and like I said, this is The Summer Pack, and it says, in the wake of tragedy, a group of friends makes a pact that will cause them to reunite a decade later and embark upon a life-changing adventure together. So I just thought that sounded you know, kind of like the perfect summer read. I love, you know, that kind of concept, and yeah, just like what a great, you know, palate cleanser of a book. So I always find Emily Henry's books easy to read, so I added that one to the list. After that, we have Like Mother, Like Daughter, and this is from Kimberly McCrite, I believe. And I have heard her name before, but I don't believe I've read anything by her. And this is going to be, let's see, it says, this is a quote from Jodi Picoult. A daughter races to uncover her mother's secret life in the wake of her disappearance in this breathless, shocking thriller. So like I said, that was a quote from Jodi Picoult. It says it's going to be a novel of emotional suspense that questions the damaging fictions we cling to and the hard truths we avoid. Above all, it's a love story between a mother and daughter, each determined to save the other before it's too late. So definitely an interesting premise there. All right, after that, this is an author that I have heard of before, but I know I haven't read anything from. And it says All This and More, and this is by Peng Shepherd. I believe they wrote The Cartographers, which I know it made its rounds around BookTube a couple years ago. And this is going to be about a woman who wins the chance to rewrite every mistake she's ever made and how far she'll go to find her elusive happily ever after. But there's a twist. The reader gets to decide what she does next to change her fate. So, not sure exactly how that'll work, but now it says one woman, endless options, every choice has consequences. So I thought that was a very, very interesting concept to that book, but I'm not really sure how it's gonna work. So we'll see. All right, after that, we have, I think this is like a romantasy. I'm not sure if it's YA or not, but this was The Darkness Within Us, and this is Trisha Levenseller. I wanna say this is a companion novel, and I'm confirming that. And this copy that is linked here is a beautiful copy. It says it's going to include deleted scenes, but it's a companion novel to The Shadows Between Us. So I don't want to read too much into it. But I believe, yeah, like it's going to be a continuation of that series. So it must be more of a well-known, like romantasy. It says it's going to be full of tension, treachery, and highly addictive romance. So, yeah, if that's something that you're interested in, check this out, because like I said, this cover is absolutely beautiful. All right, we have, after that, a new book from John Marrs. I do love reading some John Marrs, and this is The Family Experiment. This says it is going to be dark and brilliant speculative thriller about families, real and virtual. Let's see. It says it's set in the same universe as John Marrs' best-selling novels, The One and The Marriage Act. So I'm wondering if you need to read both of those before you read this one. I've read The One, I haven't read The Marriage Act. It's actually sitting down on my floor right there. It says it's going to be a dark and twisted thriller about the ultimate Tamagotchi, a virtual baby. I'm a millennial. I grew up with a Tamagotchi. So I don't want to read too much more into this one, but I am very, very curious right now. So there's that. But I'll definitely have to read the other one first. All right. After that, one that I found in my searches, which this is an author I don't believe I've ever heard of before, but this is Bad Tourists by Carol Carver. Cover definitely got me. And obviously when I put it here, you'll see why. But this says 3 tight-knit friends embark on an extravagant divorce trip, which I think is a more popular thing, to the Maldives, bucket list trip, where they can unwind and celebrate a new chapter in midlife, until they realize the resort of their dreams is harboring a killer. So not only did the cover get me, but the description does as well. So don't want to know too much more, but love a good vacation thriller for sure. All right, after that, this is another one that I hadn't heard much about until I started doing my research. And this is The Unraveling, and this is by Vi Keeland. Now, I feel like I've heard that author name before, but I can't remember why. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I know I've heard it before. And that this says it's going to be a chilling, sizzling, and addictive thriller following a psychiatrist's dark descent into dangerous obsession. That's all I needed to hear. I mean, it just sounds like it could be very interesting, but it says this isn't a love story. It's a story about obsession. So I love a good, like, psychological, you know, addictive thriller. So we shall see about that one. All right. After that, we have Lady Killer, and this is by Catherine Wood. This is another thriller, of course. Y'all knew this was going to be a thriller heavy list. I always say these videos are some of the videos that I think I get the most views, but I also get the most dislikes on these videos. And I always wonder if it's because they're thriller heavy. Y'all have to let me know. But this is Lady Killer, like I said, by Catherine Wood. And it says, everyone has a story, but not everyone's story is true. And when a young woman vanishes from her remote Greek island estate, her best friend races to find her using clues found in the explosive manuscript she left behind. So yeah, I don't want to know too much else. I think I actually even have this one on NetGalley, so I gotta pick that up. I've been in a little bit of a slump, so we'll get to that one very soon. All right, another book that I have actually been really looking forward to because I love this author duo. I believe I've read both other books that they've put out so far. And this is Until Next Summer by Allie Brady. And it says, two former best friends each find love at an adults-only summer camp. Love a good summer camp book. In this romantic and nostalgic novel that proves once a camp person, always a camp person. So, and actually that quote makes me think of a good friend of mine who like has always worked at summer camps, and I think she would totally agree with that quote. So I can't wait for this one. Like I said, I have loved the other books by Allie Brady, so highly, highly looking forward to that one. And then the final book that I found coming out on July 9th is Unwanted, and this is by Mia Sheridan. Now, I don't believe I've read anything by Mia Sheridan, but I believe they are a very popular author, and this one looks like it's going to be the first in a set of books called Men and Monsters. So it says it's going to be a heart-pounding, suspenseful, and supremely romantic novel. And it's, I think it's going to be surrounding around a wilderness guide named Harper Ward, who's going to be summoned to a small town in Montana to provide assistance on a case. So I don't want to read too much. Oh, and it looks like actually this is a re-release. It says this book was previously published under the title Savaged. So you may have read it before, but now I'm just seeing that. So it's the last book that I found coming out on July 9th. So, all right, our next release date in July is July 16th. And once again, it is a jam-packed release date. Starting us off is The Lost Story, and this is by Meg Schaefer. So, I actually just talked in my last video that I could not remember for the life of me what her other book was titled. And of course, that was The Wishing Game. But like I said, this one is The Lost Story. And it says this one is actually inspired by C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia. And this is going to be a fairy tale for grown-ups who still knock on the back of the wardrobes just in case. And I believe we have two best friends that went missing in West Virginia State Forest only to mysteriously reappear 6 months later with no explanation of where they've gone or how they survived. And then we jump like 15 years later. So, and I think eventually then they travel back to where they went. So I don't want to read too much into it. I know I have this one on NetGalley and I'm really looking forward to it. So we shall see if this one holds up to the same standard that The Wishing Game did, because I really did enjoy The Wishing Game. So there's that one for us. All right, after that, we have a book from an author that I do believe I have books on my shelf from, but I don't think I've read from, and that is The Wilds by Sarah Pierce. It looks like this is going to be part of the Detective Ellen Warner series, which I think it says it's book 3. Not sure if you need to read these in order or not. But it says Detective Ellen Warner unravels the mystery behind the disappearance of a young woman in this new thriller. So I don't want to read too much into it just in case you need to read this in order, but I'm thinking this might be one of those series that it just surrounds around the detective, but the stories don't actually link up. So if you do know though, let us know in the comments below. So there's that. All right, after that, we have another new book coming out from Tessa Bailey. I know a lot of people are fans of hers, and this is The Au Pair Affair. Say that 5 times fast. This is book 2 in the Big Shot series, and it looks like this is an all-new sports rom-com about a burly, surly, single dad who falls head over hockey stick, excuse me, for his quirky live-in nanny. So don't want to read too much more into that. But yeah, like I said, it's book 2 in this series, but I'm thinking you don't necessarily have to read them in order. The first one in the series is Fangirl Down. I believe that came out earlier this year. And then she already does know the name of the third one. That looks to be Dream Girl Drama. So there's those. All right, after that, we have a nonfiction book coming out that I was quite surprised to learn about, and this is Tiger, His Life as It's Never Been Told Before. This is being written by James Patterson, so this book is all about the life of Tiger Woods. Now, I actually can't wait to tell my brother about this one, because he is actually a big fan of Tiger Woods, or he was. I should check back in on that one. But it says, The Impossible Life of Tiger Woods. How did he become the GOAT? What drove him to fall so spectacularly, and how has he made his way back to the pinnacle of golf? In Patterson's hands, Tiger's story is a hole-in-one thriller. So we shall see. But yeah, definitely had to put that one on the list. So, all right, after that, we have a book coming out called One Big Happy Family, and this is by Jamie Day. Now, I have not read anything by Jamie Day, but I know I have one of their books on my shelves because I loaned it out to a friend to read last year because I said, hey, I have this book by this author. I haven't read it. Tell me how it is. And she said it was good. So this one actually is blurbed by Frida McFadden, and it says it's an unputdownable and gripping thriller with nonstop twists and turns. And it says, the next riveting suspense novel. Could this reunion be the death of them? So I'm assuming it is a family reunion book. It says, with razor sharp wit, heart, thrills, and twists, this is going to deliver a unique brand of summertime suspense. So probably a perfect book to read in the middle of summer, which July obviously is. So don't want to know too much more, but there's that one for you. All right, another one that I had never heard about, and I don't believe I heard anybody else talk about this one, but it's Things Don't Break on Their Own, and this is by Sarah Easter Collins. Now, I had never heard of this author before until I started, looking into things for July, and it says it's going to be a heart-wrenching mystery about sisters, lovers, and a dinner party gone wrong. It says 25 years ago, a young girl left home to walk to school. Her younger sister soon followed, but one of them arrived and one of them didn't. And it says, but I think then we kind of like jump into the present, and it says, this novel is going to be about memory, lost love, and long buried secrets that sometimes see the light of day. So, a little bit of mystery, but then a lot of it of the past too. So we shall see. All right. After that, we have one that I do believe I've heard a lot of people talk about. And this is Only One Survives by Hannah Mary McKinnon. There we go. And this is, let's see. It says rock and roll with a dash or two of murder. Interesting. It says, becoming the star is easier when the rest of your band is dead. Ooh, now that is a tagline. It says, this is going to blend the musical highs of Taylor Jenkins Reid's Daisy Jones and the Sixth with the darkness of The Girls by Emma Cline. Ooh, that is a tagline. So it says, what really happened to the bittersweet? Did Vienna's closet friend finally decide to take center stage on her own terms? So she doesn't want to believe it. Yeah, so we shall see. Good thriller on that one. All right, after that, one that caught my eye for the cover, of course, is A Novel Summer by Jamie Brenner. And one of the catch lines here says, the perfect summer beach read. I mean, books and beaches, everybody. It says it is, this book is going to find love and second chances in the stacks of a quaint beach town bookshop. So kind of just that perfect, like, you know, cozy summer read. It says rival bookshops, second chance romance, friend drama. It's the perfect book to curl up and escape to. So didn't need to hear much more than that. All right, and then finally, the last book that I found coming out on July 16th was Dashed, and this says it's a Margaret Dashwood novel by Amanda Quain. It says it's going to be a contemporary update of Sense and Sensibility, which shamelessly I've never read. It says Margaret Dashwood is setting sail on an adventurous summer cruise unless love sings her first. Now, I'm not sure if this is YA or like new adult. All right, I'm not quite sure where my phone cut me off on that last one, but I was pretty sure I was talking about, I'm not 1000% sure if the last book in July here is YA or like new adult, but it looks like we have like two sisters. I believe, you know, one sister is going to crash a sister's vacation and they're going to, you know, share a cabin on a cruise, and the only solution, this sister needs to like find love to make her cruise better. So that is the final book that I have found coming out on July 16th. So, all right, the next release date we have in July is July 23rd. And compared to some of the other dates, July 23rd is actually a small release date for July. I only found 4 books coming out on this release date. The first of which is Slow Dance, and this is by Rainbow Rowell. I believe I'm saying that right. And this is actually, it's being vouched by a lot of different authors. And this says, back in high school, everybody thought Shiloh and Carrie would end up together. Everybody but Shiloh and Carrie. So it says they were best friends, just friends, allies, you know, spent entire summers together. But this says it's going to be the story of Shiloh and Carrie, who everyone thought would end up together, trying to find their way back to the start. So I don't want to know too much more, but it does say it's going to be a novel of true love and friendship. So I wanted to add it to the list. After that, we have a book that I had no idea was even on, you know, anybody's radar. And this is The Book of Elsewhere. And this is by Keanu Reeves and China, I believe it's Meeville. It says this is going to be a mind-blowing epic novel. Unlike anything these two genre-bending pioneers have created before, inspired by the world of BRZRKR comic books. I have no idea what that is. I will fully admit that, because that comic books are just not something I have ever been into. Not that they're bad, it's not my thing. It says, she said we needed a tool, so I asked the gods. Yeah, it says, in a collaboration that combines Meeville's singular style and creativity with Reeves' haunting and soul-stirring narrative, these two intimidable artists have created something utterly unique, sure to delight existing fans and to create some scores of new ones. So yeah, I'm not exactly quite sure what this exactly is going to be, but it's there and linked below if you want to learn more. So another one that caught my eye, because the title of this says it is from a growing TikTok star. Now, I love me some TikTok, but I am not always up on the book talk stuff. So this is called Girl, Goddess, Queen. It is going to be a Hades and Persephone fantasy romance by B. Fitzgerald. And that it says, to hell with love, this goddess has other plans. What a fun tagline. It says it's going to be a fierce, fresh, and enormously fun YA fantasy reimagining from a growing TikTok star. So just fun. I just thought that was fun. And you know, why not throw someone out there that, you know, is like a growing author to get to know? So, and then the final book that I found coming out on July 23rd, because like I said, this is definitely a smaller release date for July comparatively, is by a very well-known and very liked author, in my opinion. This is If You Tell a Lie by Lucinda Berry. So I have read a lot of Lucinda Berry recently and really enjoyed. And this says it's going to be a haunting thriller about 4 friends sworn to secrecy over the events of one fateful summer and the dark truths that threaten to erupt years later. So, like most of my thrillers, I don't want to know too much more going in. I compare Lucinda Berry to a lot like a Frida McFadden, where I find them just very easily devourable. But Lucinda Berry tends to have a lot of hard-hitting topics in her books, especially the last 2 that I have read. So I definitely look forward to this one coming out on the 23rd. So those are the only 4 books that I found coming out on July 23rd. By no means is that like an extensive list for this date, but you know, compared to some of the other dates, this one's a little bit shorter. So all right, we have finally made it to the last release date in July, and that is July 30th. And this is quite the release date as well. We have a lot of books to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. We have one of the books that I am definitely looking forward to, and that is What Have You Done? This is by Sherry LaPina. I love a good Sherry LaPina book, and this one I have a feeling will be no different. This is going to be, it says, nothing ever happens in sleepy little Fair Hill, Vermont. But this morning that will change. And one innocent question could be deadly. What have you done? So, like any other thriller, I don't want to know too much more, but Sherry LaPina usually doesn't disappoint, so I'm really looking forward to that one. Also, another author that I love to get my hands on her books, one of my favorite YA authors, in fact, is Karen M. McManus, and this is her newest, Such Charming Liars. Now, this is one I so wanted to get my hands on in NetGalley, and I unfortunately did not. It's just the way it happens. But this says it's going to be the newest mystery from Karen M. McManus, the queen of thrillers. It says, when mother-daughter grifters set out on their final job, the heist gets deadly and dangerously personal. So I don't want to know too much more. I cannot wait. If you have not read the One of Us is Lying series, I think it's fantastic, and I love a lot of the other ones she's put out. I think The Cousins is one of my favorite, but this new one coming out on July 30th, I'm just so excited for. All right, after that, we have a new book by Catherine Steadman coming out, and this is called Look in the Mirror. This says, the vacation home of dreams or nightmares. It's definitely going to be a ride. We have got several different authors quoting this one. Looks like we are going to have 2 main characters, Nina and Maria. Excuse me. And it's going to be a white knuckle ride that took, Lucy Foley says it took her into the heart of darkness. So we have one of our main characters is grieving the loss of her father and has inherited a property in the British Virgin Islands. I love a good vacation home. but she didn't know this vacation home even existed. And so she's kind of trying to figure out like, what is her father hiding? And then we have Maria, who was an ambitious medical student, is now a nanny for the super rich. And it says, the people that finally, she begins to make herself at home, but there's always just one rule: don't go into the basement. That room is off limits, but her curiosity might get the better of her, and soon she'll wish her only worry was not getting paid. So exciting. I loved the one book that I read by Catherine Steadman, Something in the Water. What a unique book, and so atmospheric. Like, after reading that, I never want to go scuba diving again. So that's just how well that book was written. So I cannot wait to pick that one up. And another book I am so looking forward to, like this date, so well packed. And this is The Grandest Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is going to be the first book in her new series called The Grandest Game, which I think is going to be a branch off of the Inheritance Game series. So she says, get ready for a new series that brings readers deeper into the lush, romantic, and puzzle-filled world of the Inheritance Game series, set a year after we last saw Avery and the Hawthorns. So it says 7 tickets, an island of dreams, the chance of a lifetime. So I do believe you'll still need to have read the Inheritance Game series, because I have a feeling, you know, things will get spoiled. And yes, if you had finished that series, you'll kind of understand where this one is going. But I am so excited for this one because I loved that series. So there's that one. All right, another author that I have read before. This is The Fiancé Dilemma, and this is by Elena Armas. This was actually a book, one of her other books we read for book club, and everyone was shocked that I loved it because it was a romance. And this says it's going to be a fake engagement, second chances, and newfound family members come together in this new romance. Ooh, and it's going to be swoon-worthy. So let's see. And it says basically, a lot of things are easier said than done, and as soon as lines start to blur, the rest of the small town comes to believe that the 5th fiance is truly the one. So, alrighty. So, I don't want to read a lot more into it. Like I said, I'm trying to keep these short and sweet today, so we'll see. But I did like that one book that I read by her, so. Alright, another book that I know I have a book by this author sitting down here on my shelves, but I haven't read it yet. And this is Between Friends and Lovers, and this is by Charlene, and oh, I'm going to skip trying to pronounce her last name. Obviously, I have the cover right here. But it says this is compared to Kennedy Ryan meets Carly Fortune, which I love Carly Fortune, in this swoon-worthy story of love and friendship in the age of social media, where what you see might not be all you get. Such an interesting concept, especially those of us that have ever done online dating. Ooh, and it looks like we might have like a social media influencer on our hands. So yeah, we shall see. I am definitely interested in reading the one that I have on my shelves, but this one, you know, kind of caught my eye too. So like, as always, I will link these below if you want to check out more about them. Another one that I think I heard Brittany from Rescues and Reads talk about this one, and so I wanted to add it to my list as well. And this is Pink Glass Houses, and this is by Asha Elias. It says it's going to be a seductive social satire about the wealthy PTA moms of an elite elementary school in Miami Beach. And it is very Big Little Lies and Pineapple Street, but with diamonds, a tan, and a glass of rosé. I loved Big Little Lies as a book, and so hearing that comparison makes me want to pick this one up. So I had to add it to my list. And once again, this cover, I love it. So I don't want to know too much more. So, and it says it's told in rotating first-person voices. So I love a good multi-perspective. And yeah, it says we're going to get a peek into the lives of the rich and infamous, where cocaine playdates, $100,000 kitty birthday parties, and relentless social climbing are a way of life. So we'll see. All right, next up, this is another one that caught my eye. I believe this is also part of a series, and this is the Mirror of Beasts. I believe it's part of the Silver in the Bone series. It says it has 2 books. I'm not sure if this is book 2 or if this is a companion series, so I don't want to like say too much about it just in case like this is one that you're interested in. I believe this is a YA like fantasy series, but this one will be coming out on July 30th, obviously. But it did keep popping up in several lists that I had looked at. So if this is something that you're interested in, it says, take your sword, seize your destiny, look upon me with despair, for I am the Mirror of Beasts. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. So I wanted to add it to the list. All right, another one from an author that I don't think I've read anything from, but I see the name quite frequently, and this is Ghost Camera by Darcy Coates. So this one says that she is going to up the ghostly manifestations till you can't imagine there are any more stops to pull out, though of course there are. So, it says the main character finds an abandoned Polaroid camera. She playfully snaps a photo without a second thought, but there's something wrong with the image. A ghostly figure stands in the background watching her. Ooh, and like every time she takes a picture, it gets closer. So yeah, okay. That's all I need to know, but yeah, obviously it's going to be very like ghosty story. All right. And then just to shift gears from there, we have The Days I Loved You Most, and this is by Amy Neft. This is definitely going to be on the opposite side of the spectrum. And this says an unforgettable and utterly romantic. It's going to be an emotional, life-affirming novel that asks, what if you could write the final chapter of your own love story? So I just thought that sounded, you know, just nice, loving, heartwarming, and obviously a beautiful beach cover as well. So I have to add, you know, some variety in here. So I loved the thought of that one. One that I believe this is more on the nonfiction side, but I've been seeing it everywhere. They've been Goodreads giveaways for this one for a lot. And this is Maria, a novel of Maria von Trapp. This is by Michelle Moran. And it says, Maria von Trapp, you know the name and the iconic songs, but do you know her real story? It says this dramatic novel, okay, so it is a novel, but based on the woman glamorized in The Sound of Music, brings Maria to life as never before. So, like I said, I kept seeing it all around, so I wanted to add it to this list. And after that, we have a book that I saw on a few different lists, and it says Name Your Price. This is by Holly James, and it's a rom-com, and it says it sparks you ignite as a pair of broke exes get locked in a house together on a reality show for a chance to win $1 million. It says it's going to be a second chance romance that perfectly captures the absurd sincerity of made-for-TV love. Now, I cannot imagine being stuck in a house with any of my exes, so, but we'll see about this one. So, there's that one for you. And then last but certainly not least, I did see that TJ Klune has a new book coming out, and this is Brother Song. This is part of the Green Creek novel series. This is book number 4. I am definitely not caught up in that series, but TJ Klune did write one of my favorite books, and that is House in the Cerulean Sea, which does have its own book companion coming out later this year. So if you are interested in this series, this is book number 4 coming out on the 30th. So those are all of the different books that I found coming out in July. Like I've said before, this is not an extensive list by any means, just the ones that caught my eye. If you know of any others, feel free to put them in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.